So, greetings to all. My name is Vikas Kumar Srivastav. I'm glad to be the part of this session. This is series Math Talk Show. This is episode 3 of our series, Pushing Limits Math Talk Show. So, I welcome you all at this very amazing show. So, today we have guests as well, like two guests we invite every episode. So, guest from academia we have SU Swagat, and guest from industry we have Harshal Gujjar. So about Swagat, present affiliation is MTech in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at IIT Delhi, and education UG in Electrical Engineering from IIT Dharwad 2022 batch. And from industry, Harshal Gajjar, present position is C3 AI Inc. in Redwood City, California, USA, as a customer facing software developer. Education UG in Computer Science and Engineering from IIT Dharwad 2020 batch. I welcome you all here. Welcome Swagat and welcome Gajjar.
Thank you, Vikas.
Thank you, Vikas. Thank you.
So thank you. Now we'll go ahead. So let's start uh, knowing their journey from their college life till here and also their valuable guidance to new students. And we also have Q&A session in the last part of this show in which our students will ask some very good questions and our esteemed guests will answer some of the good questions. So let's start with Swagat. So,
Yeah,
Swagat, please tell us about your work. Please explain without being too technical what you do at your present. Also, wherever there is a mathematics connection, please put some particular focus and effort on that part.
yeah, sure, Vikas. So just going about my work, I'll just talk about how I landed up here for a brief. So as I told, Vikas told, I did my bachelor's in electrical engineering. Um, so during my third year, I was working. I did some internships in antenna theory during my second year. After that, I did embedded system design for Titan. After that, during my fourth year, I was working as a uh, digital design engineer, VLSI digital design engineer with a startup called Logic Fruit Technologies. And later, after my graduation, I worked for LG Electronics, LG Soft India specifically. That was also a embedded software development role. After that, now 23, I joined MTech in Computer Science at IIT Delhi. So here I'm working with part of a lab called Shishti Lab, which is headed by Professor Smriti Ranjan Sarangi. Now, the problem that I am working right now is that generally large language models, which is the hot topic right now in the market. I'm also working in that. So in large language models, these models have a lot of memory as well as resource requirement. It requires a lot of memory and a lot of compute infrastructure. Well, we can't expect that these models to uh, get its fullest potential in terms of use case until and unless we are able to run these model in a very small resource constrained environment. Maybe I want to run the large language model and host it and run it in my laptop itself, which is not possible right now to a great extent. So what we are working right now is that how to uh, compress these large language models and then try to run it in a resource constrained environment where the constraints are towards memory, compute, and power. So this is a optimality problem in an entirety when we talk it in a mathematical sense. So when I shrink the model, the performance of the model will get affected. So, but I have to, but I have to shrink it if I want to deploy it in a constrained environment, resource constrained environment. Say a normal model will take around 8 to 10 GB of GPU, but my laptop doesn't have 8 to 10 GB of GPU. It will only have 2 GBs or 1 GB, which common user laptop generally tend to have. So compressing this model such that we can put it in this is a task. So there's an inverse relationship, meaning when I compress the performance reduces, but I have to compress only then I can use low memory and low resource. So having the independent variables to be memory, uh, uh, power, and latency, we can constrain the optimization problem and figure out some Pareto optimality, meaning how some aspect of the model, what size of the model that I can choose, such that that is the best thing, that is the best possible uh, configuration of the model. Trying to do. Uh, that's the MTech thesis that I'm working on. And we are not in general working on large language models. We are a system group. So we are, for us, large language models is like a black box. So we just get those models, we try to compress it, and we integrate it with multiple features of multiple support structures for that model, and try to run it in a very resource environment, low resource environments. That's what we are trying to do. So
Okay.
running GPT on mobile phone, you can consider like.
Okay. Thank you, Swagat. So I'll ask the same question to Harshal Gajar. I'll repeat the question. Please tell us about your work. Explain without being too technical. What do you at present? And also, wherever there is a mathematical connection, mathematics connected, please put some particular focus on that part. Harshal.
Yeah, thanks. So I currently work, as you said, as a software customer-facing software developer at C3 AI in Bay Area, California. So the role is a very dynamic one where I get to interact with customers at their locations, understand their problems that they face, understand what data they collect, what data they can collect, whether it's sufficient to solve their problem, whether the data is consistent and complete. I create data transforms and the whole pipeline to clean customer data. I also create the AI models to solve their problems with that data. And surrounding the AI models, the whole application, which includes UI and the server code powering that UI to interact with the models. Then, after the application is built and deployed, and also go and train the customers to use the application. So it's like a full stack role with data science also included. And the kind of models that I usually train involve scheduling of events based on constraints that the customer has. So it could be something like you have fixed number of teams, you have some fields, and you want these teams to harvest crops from those fields in a manner such that you use your mills optimally, you reduce the amount of travel time between the fields, things like that. So yeah, so eventually these problems boil down to a mixed integer programming formulation, and then using Gurobi to solve it, or any other solver to solve it. In my case, I end up using Gurobi, which is library to solve mixed integer programming problems. Yeah, these are NP-hard problems. It's actually quite interesting to create the formulation with the customers in a manner such that it supports generalization further. So if they have more constraints that are added tomorrow, your formulation should not be very hard to modify. But that's about it.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead. So I'll move to Swagat. Please tell us about your undergraduate journey. Like, where did you, like, we know, at IIT Dharwad. So, and after UG, what was your step and the challenges you might have faced? You can go into detail, Swagat.
Okay, you see, I come up from a background where my parents were really ambitious to put me in a very good educational opportunities, but they are completely from a different background. So they are not from an engineering background. So I can consider myself to be a first generation engineer. Now coming to the mental maturity of me, or the maturity of me when I entered into in electrical engineering. Well, I didn't know what is electrical engineering to a complete extent. That's how I entered into electrical engineering. It took me one entire year, I would say 3 semesters, to simply understand what does the magnanimity of electrical engineering is all about, or the department is all about, and what are all the different verticals that the department offers to us. So any electrical engineering student who is studying at IIT Dharwad, now I have come to know that the department has split it into two subsections. But during our period, we had power, communications, systems, and embedded systems and everything put together into one particular department itself. So it happens so that it will take around 5 to 5.5 semesters for a student to complete all the introductory courses uh, in the department, where we will learn about machines also. In the other cross section, we will learn about signals and systems also. So, as a person, I was interested in all these fields. So I was not like, okay, every field interested me. I want to be both the what to say, a wireless department also interested me. Pattern recognition, machine learning also by SRM Prasanna sir interested me. Even signals and systems by Naveen MB sir interested me. So if you see my second year internship, uh, uh, adding masala to this boiling broth, we had COVID, so which created one more layer of complexity in the education process. So during my second year, I joined a DRDO internship where we were working on antenna design. Me and one of my friend Rishabh Tripathi, we were working together. And after that, I was working in embedded systems, which is completely different. Then after that, I was working in VLSI, which is completely different from that. So by the end of fourth year, uh, I didn't have mastery in any field, but I had experience in all these fields. Well, this is what was my journey of 4 years of IIT Harvard was. Meaning, since there were some students who had very good clarity in my batchmates about that they have to specifically go in this particular field from the first semester itself, because uh, they were well informed about what they had to do before coming to the campus. That might not be the case for all the students who joined engineering, because to a large extent the department that we get is decided by the rank that we get in JEE. So it happens to be that an exploration phase takes place when we enter into the engineering journey, and when we get into departments which are a very vast spectrum, like electrical engineering department, uh, student would be very curious. A very curious student would happen to get into a trouble to explore all these verticals. According to me, that is completely fine. But maybe some other student would say that is not fine, and we need to attain expertise at an early stage. It is my opinion that we can have what to say, like exploring everything and learning through the process, so that we get more informed over the period. Um, about challenges, well, challenges as in is integrated with whatever I discussed right now. It is implicitly conveyed. Challenges is that you don't understand when to do what. Getting a job is one thing. You're having mixed number of courses. Uh, uh, if I want to sit for a VLSI job, there is no need for me to do a power electronics course. But since it's an institutionalized structure, uh, and there is an it is expected that we have to do this course because it will be helpful in certain part when we are working as a consultant or any other engineer. That is definitely true. We have to take all the courses seriously. But which all are the courses that we need to take more care, and how we should go beyond the coursework for some particular courses for which we are interested to convert it into a career. That understanding was missing, and we need to carefully understand that this is a very big challenge that we need to tackle as students. That is, there are some aspects, some courses that we need to take more seriously and do some activities beyond the coursework, so that we can convert these courses into some employable skills. So that is a very big challenge. This is where we need guidance,
Okay.
where we need guidance from a professor, or we need guidance from some family member or from a senior who tells who or he or she tells us that, see, these are the courses that is important for the domain of interest that you're pursuing towards, and you have to put some additional care and then get it done. And this is where interacting with professors outside the classroom, doing internships, especially helps those people who come from background where family can't support us in these topics. So for students who are not from an engineering background family, we can't have a tea table conversation about what is the importance of Shannon entropy with my father, because he might be an accountant or an auditor. So that is where an professor who is well informed in the domain, or a expert engineer who is working in an industry, can guide us that, okay, these are the topics of much more importance, and you have to read that, study that, and develop your skill sets in these things, so that that can groom into some employable skills or research oriented skill set.
Okay.
So that is one challenge.
Okay. Thank you. Now, the same question I will ask to Harshal Gujjar. Please tell us about your undergraduate journey at IIT Dharwad, and after your UG, what was your next step and the challenges you might have faced? Harshal.
Yeah, thanks, Akash. So as you mentioned, I graduated in 2020 from IIT Dharwad with a CS degree. And for those who are aware, actively aware of when IIT was formed, it was in 2016. So I was in the founding batch. It was very interesting to be in the founding batch. Opened a lot of opportunities, and I got to see how the institute is being developed from scratch. Uh, and not any institute, but IIT in India, which is a very unique thing. So so um, I had a lot of interest, a lot of things happening in summers in IIT. My first summer was spent doing an internship in a company called Antoit, um, where essentially what they were trying to do is demand forecasting for their customers. And that's also when neural networks were becoming very popular in the industry. So my first internship was spent creating time series models. Um, and if I remember correctly, there were actually no time. So RNNs and then LSTMs and things like that did not exist. Transformer definitely did not exist, obviously. Um, so we were still trying to create. So the company was not using neural networks, but the research team and the team that I was part of was doing that. So my whole summer was spent learning about neural networks and figuring out the best way to have time series models implemented. That was, and then in the second summer, I uh, I got to come to got an opportunity to come to Boston, and this was through Wolfram Research, which is the company that makes Mathematica. Which is why, for the people who have interacted with me, would know that I like Mathematica a lot, and I would not miss any opportunity to promote Mathematica. In fact, both the BTech projects that I did were in this language called Wolfram language, which is the language you use to code in Mathematica. Um, and then the next summer, also, I came to Boston for a similar internship. And then in the last summer, I was also supposed to go to Boston for the same, but because of COVID, because of COVID, everything was kind of skewed. In the last 2 summers, I also got to work on very uh, unique problems for a different company, which is a traffic consulting firm in India. Um, Both of them were software problems, but kind of like optimization. So this company in the last summer was trying to. So IKEA came to this company and said, "Okay, can you help us position our stores in India?" And what they wanted essentially was, if you put your store here on like a map, and then you give people 20 minutes, what are the areas that people can come from. And as you can imagine, the larger the area is, the more number of people will probably be able to come to the store. Of course, this assumes that the population density is not too low, not getting too low as you move away from the location. But this was very interesting. So, uh, and then after my graduation from IIT, I worked as a machine learning researcher at a lab called IE4. The name is, it's like iota raised to the power 4, which becomes real. Um, where it was a very fun job. I got to read all the research papers, and that's when attention is all you need was published. So everything that was being talked about in transformers, I got to develop it on the platform that the company was using. Um, and then benchmark it on the data sets that the company had. And then I worked for this role. This was a very super fun role, actually one of the best roles that I've ever had so far. I joined Georgia Institute of Technology in August 21. So I graduated in 2020, and then I worked for a year, and then I went to Georgia Tech, where in addition to coursework, uh, so my specialization was ML. I was doing courses on AI, ML, and like time series and like uh, things like that. And yeah, in addition to that, I got this opportunity to work in a lab called Computational Data Science Lab for Web and Social Media under Professor Srijan Kumar. And this lab's focus was on detecting patterns in the way information flows on social networks, um, primarily focusing on misinformation. And I was developing a platform for that lab for storing all the information that was generated on platforms like Twitter. Um, and uh, so you can't really just store the misinformation on Twitter. So you need to actually just get all the data that Twitter produces, or example of the data. So Twitter's API would only give you 10% of the data that is being generated, not all. And then you need to have a model in the pipeline to then keep predicting whether the particular tweet is misinformative or not. So that's how you store misinformation tweets, not just directly. You can't ask Twitter, give me misinformation tweets. And misinformation also, like, it kind of becomes subjective. But anyways, you store all the misinformation, and then you keep recording users that spread misinformation and their network. And over time you can see a pattern on how the misinformation flows, with the goal being, can I detect a way to decrease or slow down the rate at which misinformation is flowing. This was, by the way, I joined this lab because I had done two BTech projects with Professor Sen in graph theory. So when I saw that, okay, you guys are developing algorithms to curb misinformation, my first thought was, okay, if I find cut set of the graph, um, I know precisely who I need to go and target, and enlighten them with with real news, so that they completely prevent flow of misinformation. This is what attracted me to the lab. And then, yeah, the folks in the lab were very smart. And then in summer of 2022, I did an internship in my current company. I liked the role, and then I graduated in December 2022, and then continued in with this company as a full-time employee. I would say during this whole journey, the biggest challenge for me was finding something that I would continue enjoy doing on weekends throughout my life. That thing has kept changing. During my undergrad days, it was cycling. I don't know whether Swagat remembers, but I would be the one who would like keep cycling around the campus just because it was very peaceful for me. Uh, and yeah, and now then when I went for masters, it became caving. Caving is not very popular in India, but what you essentially do is go inside caves with headlamp and helmet, knee pads, gloves, obviously water and food for yourself, and with the cave map. That is very important. And you see these beautiful stalagmites and stalactites and like flow stones and columns and these structures which do not exist outside of cave. And I kept doing that on every weekend in Georgia Tech because I found a group over there. Georgia region is very popular in US for pretty caves. Um, and I was very happy to find a hobby like that again. Why did I stop cycling, by the way? When I came for masters, I ended up getting an electric scooter because the issue with cycling was every time I would cycle from hostel to academic block in IIT, uh, it, yeah, I would start sweating, and I did not like that during classes. Uh, but yeah, I would encourage everyone to find something like painting, poetry. There's so many options, but uh, finding something that you like will be a bit of a challenge.
Sure, thank you. So I'll go to the next question to Swagat. As a UG student, did you know from the beginning itself that you want to do something like what you're doing now, or did this plan develop later, or it just happened with
Definitely
time?
not.
How was it? Yeah,
Definitely not. I don't know. I don't know what I am doing right now is the thing, because you see, when I entered into the department, the maximum thing that I knew about electrical engineering is whatever we learned in the JEE. Um, Ohm's law, getting LC RLC circuit, what to say, how to get it done. Those are the only things. So, so there is no question about what to say, our computer architecture, what is antenna design, all these things. I didn't even know these terms exist so that I can Google it before me coming to electrical engineering. So there is no thought about me doing these things before it. So it was just that okay, it was done over the time. Uh, so the second question was about preparing, is what you were asking, right?
yeah. In extension of that, whatever, it has just happened.
No, it didn't just happen. What I would say is that to a large extent, the courses in IIT has been designed in such a way that even for a uh, person who doesn't have any previous experience, uh, the bachelor's is going to give that exposure to that individual. uh, it is completely not right for an institute to think that the person should have previous experience or what exactly to do, because the number of students who is going to be having that level of clarity is going to be a very small subset among the students who's going to enter into the IA. Now, that being said, see, there are students who were in my batch who didn't even know English, and they landed up in corporate or industry by learning all those skills and things in the campus, and they were able to place themselves in some what to say, skillful position when it came to placements and other things. Those stories I really like. So now, what are the challenges, or how do we prepare for this aspect? Well, we have to take courses very seriously. A There are some courses which we intrinsically know that we don't want to do for the domain of our interest. Well, those courses can be approached in a sense of just to do know-how basis. Okay, I have to know how this works basis kind of a mindset. But those courses which are a person when a student when they come to a second year or third year, when they complete their second year, they would definitely develop a mental maturity that these are all the courses that I need to know for the domain that I'm interested in, and these are all the courses that needs to be known but not that important. So those courses which you feel that you have to know has to be taken very seriously. Well, what do I mean by taking seriously? It is not just the grade pointer that is going to happen anyhow. What I'm trying to take seriously is we have to read books. Getting grades at IIT in a bachelor's level course can be done without reading books, but we have to read books because all the courses in bachelor's level has been taught for years and years, and you can find thousands of playlists in the YouTube. So just before the end semester week, we can go to an online session, online YouTube, and complete the entire playlist and score at least an 8-pointer in your end semester examination. That will be helpful just for the grading, but it won't be helpful for learning the fundamentals so that it can be applied in the industry or when it comes to research.
Okay.
And when it comes to research, we have to read books there because things that are of cutting edge technology. Now, as he told, it's attention is all it is the paper which changed the entire world when it came to transformer related model. So that is a cutting edge information. That information will not come in a video content, or it won't come in a conference. It won't come in a podcast content. It will first come out in a printed paper format. So all the cutting edge or any field, it is not only in engineering, it is not only in pure science, it can be in any field, management, finance, or any field. The cutting edge information will first come out in print or written format. So we have to develop reading books, which I feel is very, very important. And we have to practice ourselves to read books, technical document, because reading story books or anything is a different uh, format and all it is. So reading books is very important. That is one. Then interacting with professors outside classroom. Now, during our period, the batch size is very small. I'm able to see the difference between IIT Delhi and IIT Dharwad. Because in Delhi, a undergraduate level course will have at least 90 to 120 students, or even 200, 300 students are there in first year courses. But in Dharwad, that won't be the case. When it comes to some specialized courses, you will only have 40 people or 30 people in a classroom, even for an undergraduate level course. That is a very powerful, what to say, opportunity or environment that you have where the professor can explicitly interact with you and know you in person. So uh, we have to take that opportunity to the fullest and interact with some individuals who you feel can help you outside the classroom, or who can guide you, telling that what you have to do and what you should not do, and tweak you in the right direction. So interact with professors so that they become your uh, mentors for your larger life. Because I still know that after my bachelor's, when I went to people like Bharat sir or Naveen K or Naveen MB sir, they all told that you should not go, you should do a master's, because you have the capacity. Why don't you go do it? Because I never had the thought process that I have to go do masters or anything or something like that. I was just interested in going to a job and getting a good salary and then settling down. So they pushed me. They told me that, okay, there is something like this. Why don't you try it out? So that kind of an mentorship or a guidance uh, will only come if we have an interaction outside classroom, where we can make some meaningful relationship other than just going to the professors for getting 5 marks or 1 marks extra, or cribbing them in the paper, which will just cause a sense of irritation. But having some more meaningful discussions outside the classroom is going to make really good sense. So I feel
Okay.
these two aspects is what has put me in whichever place I am right.
Okay, thank you. So now the same question from Harshal. As a UG student, did you know from the beginning that you want to do something what you are going to do, I mean, pursuing now? And also, this plan was sudden right now or something like he explained in that way, Harshal.
Yeah. So before joining IIT, I was very passionate about coding. I had developed softwares in Visual Basic for Windows for my school and for myself, and I had also developed websites during the break between JE and first semester of IIT. So when I entered IIT, it was in my mind quite fixed that I'm going to pursue a career in computer science. But even then, like having in fact, I chose IIT Dharwad because that was the best IIT that I could get. Obviously, when you sort by rank, if you're fixed on doing computer science, um, but even then, my life plans have pivoted several times. During my third year at IIT Dharwad, I wanted to switch to doing physics because a very influential person in my life was a physicist. And I was reading a lot of encyclopedia on astronomy. These were books that were suggested by the influential person who is actually a professor in IIT Dharwad. Um, in uh, Yeah, and then during my fourth year at IIT Dharwad, I completed two BTech projects with Professor Sen and Professor Sandeep RB. And at that time, I fell in love with graphs. And for the same reason, I found a lab working with graphs in Georgia Tech. Um, I wait. So coming to the going to Georgia Tech part, I was when I did my BTech projects, I enjoyed my BTech projects a lot, and at that time, I was kind of sad that this is coming to an end. So that's when I decided that okay, I need to spend some more time in academia to try to find a problem that I would like to pursue and to explore graph theory more and also computer science and related stuff. And that's when I decided that I should go and do a master's. So for me, it was a combination of advice that I got from uh, Professor Sen, Professor Sandeep Barbie, um, Rajshekar sir, and other folks. I would also, as Swakat was saying, highly recommend you to the students to go and interact with these people in their office hours when they are having lunch in the mess. Besides them, just ask them how are things, what are you working on, etc. etc. You'll they so now if you just interact with the professors during class hours, why will they tell you to go and do masters? Why will they tell you about anything outside of the course? Oh, okay. People people would like to tell you what's happening outside of the course, but it will still be related to the course in some way or the other. Um, yeah, but I enjoyed programming and then a customer facing role that involved working with so many varied industries every few months was an attractive offer that I finally chose, and that's how I'm currently in my role.
Okay, thank you, Harshal. So now I have to share one T-shirt we have here. We will send to our guests, Harshal and Swagat. So that T-shirt was designed by our student batch. So I was trying to share the screen, but I'm not able to share the T-shirt on the screen. So I'm very sorry for that. That T-shirt will be shared by our team to both of you after talking to you about the address and everything. In that T-shirt, we have the pink color shed. This is regarding you are aware of the sunset and sunrise at IIT Dharwad. So this was taken from sunset at IIT Dharwad, the pink color one. So I'm very sorry, not able to share on the screen right now, but our team will be communicating you guys for your address and will share the T-shirt with you. Thank you. We'll move in the question. So now we have some casual questions. So you can say freely like some of the funny, memorable, or important or impactful incidents from your college days here. Anyone can take this question, or both of you can take.
Yeah, I'll go.
Uh,
I'll go.
yes,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead. My favorite memory is from the course Introduction to Graph Theory, which is taught by uh, um, Sagnik Sen. And in this course, in the end, we had a treasure hunt with all the clues inside being mathematical puzzles. And just FYI, so professor thought that uh, so uh, he was under the impression that you cannot use computers, or maybe he can correct, but you cannot. Computers will not help you solve problems in graph theory or some or not entirely in graph theory, but the kind of problems that he had raised. And then I was during that whole uh, treasure hunt. I was with my laptop. I in fact even cycled to the hostel, uh, got my laptop to help me with these mathematical puzzles, and we ended up coming first. And then I remember very clearly that he said, "Okay, yeah, maybe computers can actually help with mathematical problems." uh, yeah, that course was also very fun, and if he's not offering it anymore, people should write him letters to offer it.
Yeah. So now the same question to Swagat.
Okay. See, I was involved a lot in the student activities. So one good thing that happened in IIT Dharwad was it was a very nascent institute. So whatever um, we were able to do everything from scratch. That's what we would say. Um, Remember, there is one specific incident which gave a lot of satisfaction to the entire batch. I'll tell what that incident. 2019, 2018, when we entered IIT Dharwad, we usually have this orientation session, and the orientation session was not up to the mark. Meaning, we didn't get any explicit information before the orientation session. We got all the information during the orientation session. So, since IIT students we come across India, so there was a sense of question about every individual aspect, that whether this is right, how should we come to the campus. Um, Most of them have not done our first generation engineer. They had doubt what is a course registration, how whether we have done the registration properly or not. All these XYZ questions which all comes about. Now, 2019 summer, we there was few sets of students from the first year. We were in the second, about to go to the second year. The group was Shreyas, Gauri. Gauri, I think she also came to this call a few days back. Then Drisha, so on and so forth. We were around 16, 17 students. We came 1 month early to the campus, and we were teaching um, to a nearby school mathematics, physics, and other things and all, because we felt that the campus is more interesting than home, so we came earlier. Now what we decided was, we during that time the dean was Professor SV Prabhu. So he called us and he told us, why don't you guys take up this orientation session for your juniors, and then try to clarify the questions of your juniors as early as possible. So what we did, we had a call center that we established in the campus. So if you go to Valmi campus, the ground floor computers lab, um, 106, I think so, if I'm not wrong. So that lab was basically converted to a call center where we had three students who were sitting there, and we the CSC, the computers services department, and Professor Rajshekhar K provided us with all the support. They established this information and everything. Now we everything was done. We had the registration day was about to come. Professor told that you take some voluntaryship and other things and all. So we had this challenging problem of how to distinguish volunteers from uh, other students, because in IIT we don't have any uniform culture, so we won't be. And so what we thought was, we will print a T-shirt. That's the obvious thing that comes in the mind. So we went to Prabhu sir's office, and we told him that, sir, we want to get a T-shirt printed with volunteers behind it. He told, we don't have budget for that, man. You come, simple thing, because see, you were hired so that things can become easy. Now you become more creative, put your creative sense, and find some solution to this problem. So we all were thinking, we had somewhere around 500 or 600 rupees left from the Diwali celebration. We conducted Diwali celebration also. 1,000 rupees or something left from the Diwali from the institute money only. So we were going in the Dharwad streets. It was a Saturday evening. So one of the batchmate told that, see, there is some yellow caps. There was a set of yellow caps in uh, the market, and the vendor told that the yellow caps are not sold because it was like a highlighter color, very what is it, hitting the high. So nobody was buying it. So we told that, acha, theek hai, get the yellow caps, 30 caps. So we wore it, and we were like, during the orientation session, contact the yellow caps for any related issues. So everybody were contacting them. Now coming, this happened in 2019, July. 2022, September, we were graduating, and it was our convocation. So we came to the convocation. We all prepared so that we all the entire friends group, we come together. We came together in a one big Innova car into the campus, and we were seeing people were all wearing a yellow cap. So that
Yeah.
small thing, right? What which we started during what is it? Some when we were in the second year, where volunteers were having yellow caps. I don't know whether it is still followed at IT Dharwad. This practice now wearing yellow caps for volunteers, but at least till the extent of 2023, 24, when we had juniors, we were able to see that whatever we did, even the smallest things, whatever we did, turned into legacy. You can take the literary club logo. You can take the placement office rule book. You can take the SAC office constitution, so on and so forth. Multiple things that we see right now. We Whenever we have what is it, meetings with our friends in our batch, we tell that, okay, see, this 10-page document was written by me when I was sitting in the hostel floor and getting bored. uh, then so those kind of discussions, when it comes that, okay, these things are still followed now, that gives a sense of satisfaction, and kind of very memorable event is what we would say.
Thank you. So just a gentle reminder, we are remaining with 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes because our guests are busy too. So one more reminder, Swagat is pursuing his MTech and Harshal is a working professional. So based on that, now our students will ask some questions and both of you can answer some good questions. So now we'll move to the question area. So let's start, guys. So from the student side, you all are free to ask something.
Excuse me, Vikesh,
Yes, sir.
uh, Vikash.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
so I can actually show the T-shirts.
Sure,
So
sir. Sure,
before
sir.
moving to the question paper,
Yes, sir.
I think I can show the T-shirts.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Sure, sure. So actually, yesterday, Viru had some kind of a malfunction with his laptop,
Yes, sir. Because of that, I'm not able to present that T-shirt now.
and so you should be able to see alumni T-shirt. So this will be the design in white color. Can you see it?
Yes, yes.
Or,
Yes, sir. It's
or
visible, sir.
yeah, okay. And then this is the black one. So that big round thing is the sunset, and the yellow in the logo, it is the sun. And then there is one more variety, which is this.
Very thoughtful, sir.
Yeah, this is the main color of IIT somehow, because they use it in the logo. So
Even these small things, Professor, it is very remembering to us also. You see, the CDC logo, the what to say, every logo, it was created in the hostel room where we were all sitting together doing what to say, chit-chatting, talking XYZ about some people. Rishabh Tripathi, my batch mate. Then
yeah, I remember Rishabh.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So everything done by us. So these things, whoever is a person who have done it, hats off, because like 3 or 5 years, 6 years after he or she graduates, and when he sees, they see this particular thing, they will get a sense of connection that, okay, see, whatever I have done that time, it's still in function,
Mhm.
and people are
Right.
using it now
Right.
also. And during some low periods of your life, where you feel like you are demotivated or you're unable to push yourself in your work, these things which is hosted in your in your institute website, if you go see it, that gives a sense of confidence that, see, this has been done before and we can keep ourselves pushing ourselves ahead.
Yeah, in that, thank you, and I agree with you. In the same vein, I will just, I think there is less time, but I'm sorry, I want to definitely mention this.
Sure,
So
sir.
both of them actually, they're very good in studies, but apart from that, they have contributed to a lot of other things to IIT Dharwad. And for Harshal, I know, I mean, also for outside IIT Dharwad. So, for example, Swakat was almost part of any cultural events, whether he was a member or not. It didn't matter. He was always there. So that way, I know him that way more than I don't think I have taught you. Uh,
No.
no, right? And for Herschel, he once it was a problem that who will use the washing machine in Kiravani hostel. So he actually made an online solution. So he right for washing
Yeah.
machine. Right? Yeah. So it was kind of a portal where you can go and you can fill up your name and then it's automated. So he did that while he was here, and I think a couple of more things for leave or something like that you made, right? Which institute? One of them, I think, institute used. The other one they did not for some reason. Maybe it was not agreeing with their system, but they did that. And he also had done one online project with some MIT professor, and that MIT professor, the kind of project you did, it was of a philanthropic nature also, or it was something. It was helping someone, right?
Yeah, it was
So
for yeah, to help him conduct workshops on accessibility and disability. I mean,
right,
create
right,
communities. Yes.
right. And I happen to have read that person's recommendation letter to Herschel. Uh, so it was a 3 page recommendation, 2 or 3 page recommendation letter, and it had a lot of praise for Herschel. And remember, he's from the first batch of a new IIT, 3G IIT, and he was already doing these things. So I have a message for the students. Don't limit yourselves. Please explore. Just look at how many projects Herschel has done, or how many outreach activities, or Swakat, I know, used to go to teach in this Dharwad International School. They used to cycle there, and I don't know, or
Mm.
take a tum tum, something like that. He
Yes,
and his
yes.
friends. He was teaching high school students during the weekends. So those are kind of activities which gives you a lot of experience and energy for working even more. So please don't limit yourselves. So whenever someone comes to me for, sir, we are looking for an internship, already start looking for it before coming to me. Already start looking for it. Okay. Of course, you are always welcome to come to me. I will help, but my help will be limited. I can only help what I can. But if you start already applying to 15 places, probably you have already got accepted before coming to me. So try to do that, please. We are on clock, I know, so I will leave it to the students.
Thank you, sir. So all the students present here, feel free to ask questions. Your questions can be based on internship, jobs, higher studies, or anything. Yeah, we are free to take our first question. Anyone?
You can also post in the message group.
Yeah, you guys can text also. Our alumni will read that. Guys, any question?
Hi, Bhaiya. Good evening.
Hello, Prachi. Good evening.
Oh, yeah. Hi, both of you. Good evening. So, all of you. Good evening. So, I am Prachi, third year student from BS in Mathematics. So, I have a question for both of you. Like, as one of you have written GRE and other have written GATE. So, if I'm clear about, like, I want to go for higher studies. So, preparation tips for both the exams and few more tips about like interview process or what things which matters for higher studies like GPA and extracurriculars to both of you, like if I want to pursue abroad or in India itself.
Okay, Prachi, thank you. So anyone, whoever feel comfortable for this question, please go ahead.
Yeah, I can speak for GRE. The way I ended up preparing was one summer I spent um downloading and memorizing words from an app called Magoosh. So I had memorized 1,000 English words. And then the second thing is you need to find good people to write your recommendation letters. Um, and you will probably need to iterate over the recommendation letters. And the third thing is you need to spend significant amount of time writing your own statement of purpose, explaining how explaining basically the questions that Vikash asked in this interview, telling them your story and like what you envision to do in future and how that aligns with what the university offers. And mention, if you want to work in a lab, mention the motivation behind that. Um, so once you have these three things, you obviously yeah, you also need to with well memorizing words. After that you need to give GRE. And for those who have given J, you'll probably get like 170 out of 170 in quant, but the place where you will get hit is in the English section. And for the essay, um, so essay is just a cutoff. Like you need to get more than three out of greater than or equal to three, I think, out of six. But the vocab section of GRE will actually impact your score and impact your admissions. Then the whole admission process is very vague over here in US. So yes, I also appreciate it because it's not just about your GRE score. It's also about how well people are recommending you. It's also about what you want to do in life. They consider all of that. But does that give a good enough picture? Uh,
Uh, yeah,
So,
thank you. And thank you so much. And the same question for GATE, I would like to ask Swakat Bhaiya.
okay, I didn't write GATE because there is one option in Indian universities where if you have above 8 CGPA in your bachelor's, you can directly go pursue a master's and PhD in Indian universities. Well, I also gave GRE TOEFL and I agree with whatever Harshal told. Now, coming up with the selection criteria in IITs, uh,
Just a second, Swakat, this rule is for any undergrads or it has to be a BTech or any 4 year undergrad is okay?
any undergrad program, sir,
Okay,
any undergrad
okay,
program.
okay.
As far as I know, any
Okay.
undergrad program.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
So
You can check
yeah,
also. The
you
students can
can
check.
just check it out. So ideally, if you have anything above
I think Swakat
Yeah,
froze. Yeah.
yeah, I think he's having some network problem. Second time he's facing. I think he has joined using another device. Yeah, I think
Okay,
that
maybe
device
maybe
also. Yes,
carry
yes.
on with the second question. Once he can join, you
Uh,
come back to the previous one.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we have second question on the screen in text. Could you please tell
yeah,
if
I'm
there
sorry,
is
my
any
laptop.
flash? Yeah.
Yeah, I've joined using another device. Am I audible now?
Yes,
Is
yes,
it
you're audible.
fine?
You're audible. No, I think we are still facing issue from your side, Swagat. Okay, fine. So, Harshal, can you take this question?
Yeah, so the question is, could you please tell if there's any challenge in returning to academia, higher studies after working in industry or company as compared to directly going for higher studies after bachelor's?
Yes.
Um,
I think this is more appropriate for Swakat, and he is putting on his mic. So
Am I audible now?
You're audible.
yeah, yeah, audible.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
yeah.
the power
So
turned off,
maybe
so everything. So I was answering about gate. I will answer the second question also. I'll be very brief on the gate part. Students who have above 8 CGPA are through the central technical institutions. They can directly apply for graduate programs in India. So the selection process is not like how you went through JOSA, where there is a centralized selection, what is a forum where you apply. It is not like that. It is more of applying through particular institutions, and every institution have their own kind of selection process. In IIT Madras, you have a similar structure like JOSA, where you enter your preference order and everything. But in specifically to IIT Bombay and IIT Delhi kind of systems, you can individually apply to every department, and every department will uh, conduct an interview. And you can get offers from multiple departments from the same institution when it comes to IIT Bombay and IIT Delhi kind of a setup. So this enables you to apply for some very specific programs in your interest. If it's an electrical engineer, if you're confused between VLSI, communications, or embedded systems, you can apply for all these three roles. And later, based on the offers that you get, you can decide upon it. So that process is there. I'm completely not sure about BSMS, but I'm sure that this this pathway is also there for them, but kindly check through it. So I did not write GATE. I went through this process. Um,
Thank you.
Second
In
question about going from work to back to academia. It is difficult upfront because job gives you a lot of comfort to a large extent, because you get a very uh, good pack. What to say? You have a very good money that hits your bank account every month, and you feel very comfortable over time. And going from some six-digit figure to just triple-digit figure, some lower-digit figure itself is a mental state that you have to change for the early stages. And second thing, uh, most of the programs in MTech or see, MTech and MS is a two complete MS by research is a two completely different kind of a course. Wherein in MS research you get a lot of time for doing project activity, research activity, and whereas in an MTech is like kind of an accelerated BTech where you do a lot of coursework and then 1 year project. Maybe in an MSR it is of 1 semester coursework and 3 to 4 semesters of research activity. So when you come for an MTech course, since it's an institutionalized program, you may have to fit in. That will take some time. Yeah, there is some challenges associated in moving from industry back to academia, but there are other benefits also. The benefits are you will be super good in implementation. Uh, so compared to people who directly come from bachelor's program to master's program, people who generally most of the students won't have a lot of internship experience. But if there are students who have done internships in their bachelor's, which had hardcore implementation and other thing, they won't face that much issue. But if you have 1 year program, a job or something like that, you understand that. The other thing is you exactly know that what kind of technologies that you want to learn to get back to the industry. So if you're planning to pursue and come back to the industry, then you can design your elective courses and focus on those elective courses which is oriented towards the job that you're planning to come back and land up in the industry. So it's both ways. There's some positive aspects and negative aspects.
Thank you. Any others? Any other question from anyone? Feel free to ask. Already we are running out of time, so one or two good questions we can take. Any quick questions?
So maybe I have a quick question.
Sure, sir.
At some point of time, Harshal told me that he is applying a lot of linear algebra. So I don't know. I was not continuously here. I had to go to the kitchen for some time. So I don't know if you have covered this. If you have, please don't repeat. But if you haven't, but maybe in just 2-3 lines, not too much. But that is an interesting thing for me.
Oh, so yeah, so I assume you, yeah, so I was explaining what kind of problems those are. They are usually, so I usually in my company do scheduling optimization problems, and that involves creating a matrix. So you would have like a matrix, say the example containing the example that I took. You have harvesting teams, and then you have fields, and you want allocation of teams on those fields. So you'll have a matrix which is n cross m, where n can be the number of harvesting units, m can be the number of fields that you have, cross t, where t is the number of days, not the horizon that you want to consider. So say if I want to be generating a schedule for the next 15 days, then my t will be 15. And essentially there will be a 1 for whenever a particular team wants to harvest a particular field on that day. And then you have constraints like, okay, the sum, if I take in across t dimension, should be less than equal to 1, because a team can only harvest one field on a particular day. So you write all these constraints, like mathematical expressions. The one which I said was just 1. The other one would be like the sum across time dimension and across the team dimension for any given field should be less than equal to 1, because you want the field to be harvested only once. And then you want the so you have mill capacity, you would have facility capacity. So you want the sum to be for a day across fields and across harvesting units to be less than equal to whatever the capacity is. So you have these constraints, and then you'd have a solution matrix like how I described, like t cross m, and then you would have a maximization or a minimization expression that, okay, I want the yield to be maximum, and that's how you create a mixed integer. In this case, it's a mixed integer programming formulation, and then you would give
Yeah,
these.
the formulation itself is actually in a matrix form.
Yes.
Something like ax less than equal to b, something like that.
Yep, ax, yeah.
And of course, there will be a with respect to or subject to some other constraint. Again, a matrix.
Yeah, like xij, nmt should be greater than equal to 0, things like that.
Something
Yes.
like that, right? Of course. Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
So, thanks to everyone. We have come to the end of our show. This was a beautiful and highly valuable talk by our guests. So, let's meet soon in our next episode with our next guests. So, the series is Pushing Limit Math Talk Show. Thank you all. We can end the show now. Thank you,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Swagat, for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting. Thank you, professors. Thank you,
Thank you.
Vikas,
Thank
for
you,
Thank you.
professor.
hosting.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.